Kirksville, its architecture and its future. A video documenting the Symposium on Historic Architecture, its Preservation and Appreciation, held on April 11th, 1991. Sponsored by the Red Barn Community Arts League, the Adair County Historical Society, the Main Street Office, and the Chamber of Commerce of Kirksville. Funding for the project was provided by the Missouri Arts Council, a state agency. Named after the innkeeper Jesse Kirk, the city of Kirksville was founded in 1842 and built atop the watershed between the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. In the late 19th and early 20th century, the city of Kirksville was enriched with an impressive and diverse display of building styles. In our time, these buildings still provide the background for activities of everyday life. Kirksville has retained fine examples of many architectural styles, such as neoclassical, neo-Romanesque, neo-Gothic, neo-Baroque, Italianate, Second Empire, Queen Anne, Egyptian Revival, and Art Deco. In April of 1991, several Kirksville organizations sponsored a symposium on historic architecture, its preservation and appreciation. Interested citizens gathered for presentations and discussions of the benefits of preserving and restoring local architectural heritage. Mark Miles from the Missouri State Historic Preservation Program shared his observations on the architectural heritage of Kirksville and Missouri.
Our mission basically is to identify and protect those man-made resources that communicate much about our state's cultural, architectural, historical heritage. Old buildings provide a tangible link to the past. They offer us a means of coming to know something about the values and the goals of the people that came before us, their hopes and their aspirations. And we can see that expressed in brick and stone and the buildings that line our main streets and our residential areas throughout the state of Missouri. Historic buildings provide evidence of change and evolution in the life of a community. The buildings reflect the prosperity of the community and the poverty of a community, and certainly reflect times of great joy as well as times of great sorrow. In the buildings that make up our communities, we see an evolution of changing tastes and styles. And basically, by learning about architectural styles, we can tell much about a community. Missouri's buildings reflect a continuing evolution of taste and styles that span the full range of time since Missouri was settled. The buildings that make up our communities embody skills and craftsmanship of people that built these buildings. And frequently, they utilize construction techniques and materials that really could not be duplicated today. The buildings that are in place represent existing collections of resources. We're very much concerned in the Department of Natural Resources about energy conservation. And certainly, existing buildings can be looked at as depositories of energy that is already in place. We don't have to remanufacture the bricks. We don't have to remanufacture the materials that make up those buildings. And certainly, they help to enrich our lives. I think perhaps the most important reason, these buildings help us to define who we are. There's a very famous scene in John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, where the Jodes are getting ready to leave Oklahoma on their trek to California, and they're giving away their possessions. And one of the characters says, quote, "How can we live without our lives? How will we know it's us without our past?" Those of us who work in the field of preservation know, however, that our heritage is very much at risk. The historic buildings and sites that help to define Missouri's characters are really a very finite resource, and in effect, they are irreplaceable. Well, since I joined the Department of Natural Resources, I've been working closely with the Missouri Main Street program and have been working with preservation efforts as they relate to downtown issues. And I know that you are currently working on your downtown program, so I want to talk a little bit about the role that historic preservation plays in the downtown revitalization effort, and to illustrate some of the things that people have done wrong in the past, as well as some of the things that people are doing right. As you may know, design is a key element of the Main Street approach to downtown revitalization, perhaps more so than any other aspect of the four-point Main Street approach, which includes organization, promotion, economic restructuring, and design. Design is what people come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. Design certainly has a means of helping to shape the character and the image of a community and of its downtown. Design issues can be indicators of change in a community, either positive or negative. And the condition of buildings in a downtown area can tell a lot about the health of a community, as well as the confidence that people here feel in their downtown's future. One of the goals of downtown revitalization is to create a momentum for positive change. And certainly design can play an important role in helping to create that image. Over the years, people have done some very unfortunate things to many of their downtown buildings. And often these were done with the very best of intentions, but they nevertheless did have a very negative impact on the overall image and appearance of the downtown. Perhaps the most common problem is a failure of people to understand and appreciate those elements and features of the buildings that give the downtown or a historic building its very distinctive character.
Mr. Miles points out that frequently things that distract from the original appearance of a building can be reversed at very little cost. Signs can make a statement of quality. Pedestrian signs, properly placed, emphasize the quality and character of a business. Inappropriate modern materials, such as metal slipcovers, can be removed from a storefront to reveal its original character. A fairly simple color scheme that emphasizes detail can add a great deal of visual interest. In some cases, the construction of an entirely new storefront is appropriate. A new building can be designed to relate to existing storefronts by paying attention to traditional size, color, and materials. Buildings can be converted to a new function in ways that retain the building's character. Upper story windows can be opened up again. These are the eyes of a building, and by opening them, we get a much more inviting effect. Awnings can be used to add color and interest. In addition to providing shade and shelter, they make an entrance more inviting and help even very plain buildings fit into a downtown environment.
Those of us who work in the field of historic preservation know that there's real economic value in the utilization of existing resources. We know that the preservation can help to stabilize declining areas and help to reverse a cycle of decline and disinvestment, whether it be in a neighborhood or a downtown area. And we know that preservation has tremendous economic benefit. I would just cite one statistic. Since 1986, our office has reviewed over 300 projects using the investment tax credits for certified rehabilitation. Those projects and the investment that they make amounts to over $240 million. Those investments also help to rehabilitate 2,700 housing units, and 650 of those new units, over half of which were for low-income housing. Finally, we know that preservation capitalizes on what is special and distinctive about a community, and can help to enhance the images of those communities. This year actually marks the 25th anniversary of the passage of the 1966 National Historic Preservation Act. And since that time, we've seen preservation become a very powerful force in our state to preserve the best of the past for the future and to enhance the quality of life for all of the citizens of the state of Missouri. We've seen preservation work in other parts of the state, and I know that with your efforts and your support, it can continue to work here in Kirksville.
Dana Forrester is an artist raised in Kirksville, whose work often features architectural details which are commonly overlooked. He demonstrated his painting to high school art students during the week of the symposium. Mr. Forrester won national recognition with an award-winning watercolor of a Kirksville building.
This is the Stamper Building, it's now the Collins Building. In 1976, I decided I wanted to challenge myself to become an entrant in and be accepted into the American Watercolor Society exhibit in New York. I was beginning to learn a lot about buildings. This building, for instance, is the only building that I have ever seen that has cutouts with windows in them. That also is the building that has more advertising on it than any building I've seen nationwide. To me, that's a treasure.
Mr. Forrester has gone on to make paintings of many buildings in the Midwest, always with a beautiful mixture of the past and the present. Historic records are also crucial to the story of past buildings. Lynn Morrow directs efforts at the Missouri State Archives to preserve local documents. Mr. Morrow related how citywide historic preservation in Cahokia, Missouri began with one individual who restored his home.
Someone in the community took the first step, put his money where his heart was, restored that house, got help from State Historic Preservation Office of Jefferson City and a few consultants around the edge. And now, 7 years later, when there's a lot of gloom and doom economically in Clark County like elsewhere, historic preservation is really a shining light there. There's a lot of things going on. And I don't see why the same thing can't happen in Kirksville. As Mark knows, similar things on a larger scale happen in Boonville. And we have a number of communities where some local patron or some person has taken that important first step.
Some things have been lost, but the architects and builders of our historic old town have left many details which continue to enrich our daily lives. It is up to us to recognize the value of our architectural heritage and to do all we can to preserve and restore it for future generations.